Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Public Transit Committee of May 3rd to order. Physical quorum of the members not being physically present. I'll entertain a motion to permit those members not members of the committee to participate, that being member Runhan and member Garcia.
Second.
And we're just appointing her. We don't even have to take a vote under our county board rules.
Okay, and at this time also, I'll entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to personal illness, employment, or business to participate by video or teleconference. Do I have a motion to allow Chairman Osak to participate via telecommunication? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mary, the meeting is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Bozak,
Here.
Colbert, Luciani,
Here.
Sadowski, Schwarzy,
Here.
Pronatori,
Here.
Renahan.
Here.
Okay, do we have any public comment today? No?
Not today.
Okay. Next, I'd like to move for approval of the meeting from the minutes from our last meeting, March 1st, 2022. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any changes or discussions to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to staff updates. And today we're going to have an update on the Willowbrook Corners service plan. So I'm going to turn that over.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it. So a few short updates today. More critically, we'll present the committee with our final recommendations and report to IDOT at the next committee meeting. The full report is going to be released earlier, but so you will see it before the committee and have the recommendations in hand before we actually get to discuss it a little bit more at the committee meeting. Well, once we go through those recommendations and I kind of approve where we're going with this, we'll transition to kind of our pilot procurement stage, and that should take a few months to get through. With the help of our attorneys and a number of different contractual arrangements. But, that's it for Willowbrook Corners. So the mobility plan, staff and consulting team are working together on a mobility guide that we're going to distribute as widely as possible to employers and employees throughout the county, as well as the general public. That rollout for that mobility guide will be helpful in kind of allowing people to navigate that complex landscape of all of these different service providers, different townships. We already have a kind of a township guide that Community Services has put out, but this is going to be more widely available and kind of talking about how to make those arrangements to get on the bus and also to utilize other supportive services throughout the county. So it'll be digital as well as a hard copy, which we think we're going to distribute to a lot of the libraries and make sure that a lot of the digital outlets actually have a copy that they can refer their clients to. Any questions on that? Very good. Then kind of anticipating the RTA. I think Sarah Blair is probably here today. Dupage County is participating in their 2023 strategic plan. We are a partner in the Infrastructure Investment Working Group. In front of you today as a handout, it's called this RTA Regional Transit Strategic Plan. It's a really nice little guide that they put together for the various working groups. It has a lot of good information in it regarding kind of performance of the system, not only the suburban system, but also CTA and Metra. It's really helpful and kind of provides context for where RTA is going with the strategic plan. Their focus in our particular area in the working group is equity, including income, disability, and age disparities, and how future policies and practices will be kind of driving towards addressing equity issues. Also, stewardship, which is basically care and use of the strategic finances, for the region, and then commitment to change. And this is one of those areas, I think that's kind of a fluffy or kind of a fuzzy area where I think, there's a lot of desire for change, but as you all know, it's really difficult to modify and adapt a system quite as extensive as the RTAs and PACEs and metros very quickly. And so it's kind of interesting, to talk about change and what that really means in the context of Chicago and the suburbs. So we're going to be representing for Dupage. And finally, we've been asked to and have agreed to participate in a small project, not really time consuming, but interesting nonetheless. It's a national regional project called Project Sidewalk. It's in the vein of mobility, and we are really, we're viewed as kind of experts, but since we have already adapted and adopted an ADA transition plan, UIC and some of the universities throughout Chicagoland are essentially participating with universities throughout the country and trying to identify obstacles and mobility issues related to sidewalk and path. And so we have collected a lot of information over the course of the last 5 years and looking to us to help supply information and to provide guidance on really what needs to be collected and how to do it. So we're participating with that and gladly. Thankfully, it's not really a lot of time commitment, but it's really oriented to helping municipalities, kind of catch up with ADA requirements. So that's what we're up to. And that concludes my staff updates for today.
Thank you so much, John. I also did want to note that my accident happened because of a shoelace, not a bad sidewalk. And New York's infrastructure seemed to be very, very good. So that was good news. Next, we're going to move on to our partner reports. And again, I'm sorry I'm remote today, but Chris, if you would like to report for PACE, that would be great. Chris Rose, thank you.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. PACE will be holding some public hearings mid-June to permanently accept reduced cost in several CTA passes that are honored on PACE. Back in 2021, December 2021, CTA reduced the costs on several different passes that they offer, and PACE at that time immediately accepted those pass reductions. However, to do that on a permanent basis, it's required that we hold a public hearing. So those hearings, there'll be 6 virtual public hearings in June. The one for DuPage County will be on Thursday, May 26th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And just to go over these passes, it's the CTA PACE 30-day pass, which was $105, which is now $75. The CTA PACE 7-day pass, which was $33, which is now $25. And the Metro Link Up Pass was $55 and it's going to $30. If you're not familiar with the Metro Link Up Pass, what that is if you buy a 30-day Metro Pass, you can add the Link Up component to it, which provides you service on PACE and CTA as well. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
And Chris,
Yes.
may I ask, I assume those reductions were done in the beginning or soon after COVID began?
Yes, they actually were implemented in December of 21.
Okay.
And I think the anticipation was to accommodate those that were going to have a shift in schedule when they're returning to the office. Instead of it being on a daily basis, it may be 3 days a week. So in order to provide that service, they've reduced the overall passes for those 30-day and 7-day passes. And Member Deacon, I believe you had
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Mhm.
Just want to verify the date. You said the public hearings were in June, but you said the one for Dupage was May 26th.
I'm sorry, that is correct. I apologize. That the hearings will be mid to end of May, and then
Okay.
So I
May
apologize.
26th
Yes,
is the Dupage County one. Perfect.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Chris, could you be sure to send that link for that Zoom meeting to John, who would forward it to all of us?
Sure,
Members?
certainly.
Okay. And John, if you would forward that to all board members, that would be great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Chris, is that it?
I think Member Renham and Member
sorry.
DeCiani had some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay. Chris, I was just checking.
Member, who was first?
I'll
Okay.
go real quick.
Member
Chris,
DeCiani.
yes. Chris, I know you guys are piloting the Uber program, and I was just checking to see how that's going and if I can get an update on that.
Sure, yes. So we started the Dupage Access program at the end of January, and it's going quite well. I'll make sure to get John some figures. I don't want to misquote, but we've seen a very positive response to that program. And for those that may not be familiar, the Dupage Access program is an Uber component that we've added to the ADA paratransit service, in where it's a user-based service, meaning the rider determines if they want to opt into that program and use Uber as an alternative to using the ADA paratransit service. So instead of calling to schedule their ride on the ADA paratransit service a day ahead of time, they can order an Uber immediately through the Uber app, and it's paid through the PACE program, in where they get up to 8 trips a day for free at a value of $30 per trip. So after that $30 mark, any overage that would be on the user. And it's been quite successful. We're very happy with the response we've seen.
And Chris, how is the coordination going with that, with Uber?
It's been great. The partnership with Uber has been they've been very positive as far as responsive to any needs that come up, or adjustments in the app that was needed. It's been all around very positive. And like I said, I'll get the most recent ridership data to John to share with the committee.
And the app is it's a Dupage Access app that the person must be enrolled, et cetera, to have the app.
Actually, it's through the Uber app. They just have to have the Uber app, and if they are an ADA paratransit registered rider, they should be automatically pre-registered for that option. So when they go to book a trip on, I don't know how familiar anyone's with Uber, but when you go to book a trip, there'll be the option to book it under your account or use the ADA paratransit service.
Okay, so it's a second account in their Uber account. Great. Okay, thank you.
I'm
sorry, any other questions? Sorry, Mr. DeCiani or Member DeCiani.
I just want to mention that several of the students that are going to COD that I know of that have autism and other special needs are utilizing this, and they love it. And my daughter starts COD in the fall. We're hoping she'll have her license by summer, but it's nice to have this option for young adults and even older adults, et cetera. So it really, I think, crosses all age groups, and gives our population at a variety of levels another option, which is great. So I just want to say thank you for your help and your leadership there.
Thank you for the feedback. Again, it seems to coincide with the feedback we're receiving from the users. So it's really good.
Great news, Chris. Thank you. Member Renahan, did you have questions?
Yeah, great. Hi, Chris. Thanks again for all your help with the Willowbrook Corner study, and thanks for coming out. We had a good time hanging out there. My question is on the project that you had, the fare box, the reduction for the PACE. Is there a change in policy in terms of fare box requirements, or how are they able to reduce the amount so much? I mean, is there still that rule?
There is the rule for the fare box recovery ratio. However, there's been a hold for the next 3 years on that, for that mandate. And this isn't just this is not for their set fare per ride. This is for the passes only. So they reduce the cost of the fare cost of the pass on those 3 passes.
And do they have any figures yet on how that is impacting revenue, or it's?
None that I've seen that they've shared. I can certainly check with our group, our accounting, to see if that's been shared with us.
Yeah, because it would probably depend on use of the passes, the frequency of the use. So, okay. Member Ranahan, did you have any other questions?
What else said? Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Chris? Okay. Hearing none. Chris, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
That's very good news about the Uber component. Thank you. Next up, Metra. Do we have Metra here today?
Yes, good morning.
There.
Demetrius
Okay,
Kopis
Demetrius,
here.
hi. Thank
How are
you.
You could hear me, right?
Yes, and see you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. I'll be brief. So we are, ridership is the big question that everybody asks. So system-wide over our 11 rail lines, we're at about 37% of pre-COVID ridership. Specifically, the BN has reached about a high of 39% pre-COVID. Union Pacific West Line, 35%, and the Milwaukee District West Line, 32%. Number of trains on the BN, we implemented a new schedule on the BN at the end of March. Pre-COVID, we operated 97 trains daily. We're up to 91 trains. It's not the exact same schedule, obviously. We're a few trains short, but we've been adding trains and passenger cars to existing train sets to match demand. The same is true for what we're attempting to do on the Union Pacific West Line right now. We're working with our railroad partner, the UP, to modify that schedule. That should come out sometime in the near future. And we are still monitoring the Milwaukee District West Line, probably something in the latter half of the year where we'll have a modified schedule there as well. So like I said, the BN, we're running about 91 trains now. The UP, we're still at 40, and the Milwaukee West 40. On the UP West Line, we used to run 59 pre-COVID, and in Milwaukee, we ran 58. So the demand is a little lower right now on those two lines compared to the BN. The BN has always been our highest ridership line anyway. As for projects, we are looking at the UP West Third Main Line. I've mentioned this project many times in the past. UP recently mentioned that they are moving forward with that project this year, but I don't have a time frame, a schedule. Again, most of the work is not in DuPage County. It starts from about DuPage County Airport, Katz Road, all the way out to Peck Road in Geneva. But of course, that third line will help with operations, reduce the number of conflicts between freight and commuter. So that's a big project. And again, it's adding just a third track in a section that's currently just double track. When you go east of Katz Road and everything, it's all three lines all the way into the city. We also recently announced that we started working with the municipalities, ticket vending machines. So we will be installing 2 machines at every station in the system, but it's going to be rolled out in phases. DuPage County, the stations, there's about 17 stations that will be part of phase 1 that will receive the machines. So we're going to work with the villages about placement and utility connections and all that. And that about wraps up my report. Well, Clarendon Hills is wrapping up their station project. They built a whole new depot, warming shelters, a bicycle shelter on the outbound side, the north side. And we are continuing to still work with Elmhurst and Glen Ellen on their station projects. As I mentioned in the past, we're committed to contributing $4 million each to Glen Ellen and Elmhurst. And they have projects to build new stations, new depots, new platforms, and pedestrian tunnels. That wraps up my report.
Demetrius, I have a first question for you.
Sure.
Is there been any more movement or discussion on the idea of selling the stations on the part of the UP in particular to the municipalities? And that would certainly tie in with a new station at Glen Ellen. Anything else going on about that? It seems like it's been sort of dropped for the time being.
It hasn't been dropped. So the Union Pacific entered into these purchase sale agreements. Nothing has been closed. No sales have been closed. And the developer has an option to extend the contracts. And they have done so as far as I know. And they have a couple extensions that they could exercise. And those extensions bring them, and I don't have this right in front of me, so I'm gonna think it was somewhere into 2023 and possibly even 2024, that they could continue exercising the option. So no, there's not much movement. The amounts that UP were asking for initially, where there was a offer of first refusal, they are, pricing these properties as if they were, high density, prime real estate.
Midtown Manhattan, perhaps.
Yes. So they have this developer.
Yeah.
We don't know if they are going to actually develop any of these properties. So it's not that there's nothing being done. It's just that UP is owns the land. They are in this contract, and there's not much we could do about it until we see. We'll find out more when these deadlines come and go, and see what UP says. So
we could call it limbo at this point, I guess.
we are in limbo.
Okay.
Correct. Elmhurst is moving. Oh, I'm sorry. Elmhurst is moving forward though with their design. They're making as much progress as they can until they kind of run up against the wall. And
Okay.
Glen Ellen is doing the same. They have some other, questions. They're much earlier in the process than Elmhurst is. So they are, talking internally about how they want to proceed. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Demetrius.
Anytime, thank you.
Okay, and Member Schwarzy has a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Scopus. You had mentioned that right now you're at 30%, 37% roughly. You gave different numbers for different lines, but 37% of pre-COVID
Yes.
users.
System-wide over the 11 L'Oreal lines.
System-wide. How does, and that's current, so is that up at all from say 2021 at all, or has it been staying fairly steady, or?
It's going up. So at the, I guess we could call it the height of the pandemic, right when everything shut down, ridership had dipped as low as I think it was something like 4%.
Okay.
So it has steadily climbed. We actually hit pre-COVID, I think our ridership numbers daily was about 283,000 or 273,000. The number, I should know it. I've said it a million times. I don't know why I'm blanking out right now, but somewhere in that range. And so we recently, I think it was last week, we hit a high of 105,000.
Thank you.
So we're
glad to hear it's going up though.
Yeah. And the good news too is we're seeing a lot of the, the non worker, the rides, the weekend ridership has bounced back pretty well. We're at 80% on weekends.
Oh, great.
So it's climbing. We need these office buildings to be filled up. So that's.
Thank you.
That's what we're waiting for.
Demetrius, I have one more question. As you may know, I live right next to the Union Pacific, so I can tell you when every train is late or on time. However, I do have a question about this third rail, building the third rail west of the Dupage Airport. Anecdotally, it seems as if there's quite a bit more freight traffic. And some of it, for instance, there was at least one freight train coming through Glen Ellen at 7:20 this morning, which is also high school drop-off, and at least 2 more commuter trains coming in. Is there, what would you say, is there a sense of there's more freight trains running during the peak times? Or, I mean, I know it's,
I can't speak.
I know
for
who's
the
in
Union
charge.
Yeah, I can't speak for the Union Pacific. That's their operation with freight. There is supposedly a window where they shouldn't really be operating during the morning peak and then the afternoon peak. They could, because of their operation, maybe something's really backed up, that they have to squeeze one in to get into a yard. I don't know the situation, but it's not common. They usually respect those windows where it's commuter traffic. But freight traffic is the up and down. It's a function of the economy.
Yeah.
So they don't divulge numbers. I don't think they share anything with us. But one person from the UP many years ago shared a stat that there's only 2 lines in the country that operate both 50%, 50 freight trains or more and 50 commuter trains or more on the same line, right? So usually it's either all commuter or all freight. And the two lines are here in Chicago, and it's the UP West line and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So both of those lines have both more than 50 Metro trains daily and more than 50 freight trains daily. So there's a fun little fact for you.
That is, I'm well aware of that after 36 years. So,
Yeah.
but I really appreciate all the information today. Time frame though, any time frame on that third rail project out in?
They didn't give me a schedule.
Okay.
No, I'm sure they have to probably bring in, a lot of the work is done by a contractor, but all the track work is done by UP forces. So it probably has to do with identifying the forces, mobilizing. They could be coming from out of town as well. The equipment to do that work, major equipment. I'd assume probably, and this is a wild guess, we're still having weather issues and stuff like that. You know, I don't know what their workforce issues are as well. That's been a problem, you know, in every industry. So probably a late spring, summer start.
Oh, so hopefully 2022. That's good to hear.
Yeah. You know, you can't start anything too late on the railroad. So if they're going to start this year, they're going to want to start sometime
Okay.
for the next couple months.
Well, that should help as ridership increases. So we'll hope for that, definitely.
Sherwood? Real quick.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just had a question for Dimitri. So Dimitri, the developers that are in the middle of this UP issue, it seems almost disingenuous that UP would, you know, when the city's trying to buy the property, that they would sell it to a third party. And it seems like these third parties that they've sold to are looking for a pro quo somewhere else in the municipality to build things like senior housing, which is great if there's an opportunity, but like in Elmhurst, we're pretty much out of opportunity. There's no more land to develop. So now they're, you know, so it's just, it's, you know, challenging. I don't know if Metra in any way has any leverage there to help us with that, because at the end of the day, you know, the longer this takes and the more we pay for the land, the more government has to pay for this. And, you know, Elmhurst is very fortunate to get money from CNAP and a variety of other sources. And you know, this is going to be an expensive project, and this seems to be going up and up. So.
Yes, we've been asked that. UP owns the property. They, in their agreement, they offer us the right of first refusal. Again, the amounts they were asking for were not within reason. We did not exercise that. I think we had about 30 or 45 days to exercise that. We did not, so it went with the developer. There's no way we could do anything. It's a contract, legal contract between the two entities, and now we just have to, like I said earlier, I guess we're in limbo, and we're going to have to see how this plays out. Now, are most of these properties, so they did it in two batches, the first 18 stations, and only one of them was on the UP West line, that was Elmhurst. And then they entered into a second agreement, a big master agreement for 41 additional stations, which pretty much covered everything else. And then the rest, almost all of the stations on the UP West line. Of all 59 stations, there's probably in reality a small handful that are actually developable. If you look at Elmhurst, I know you're most familiar with Elmhurst. Like you said, you know the developer is a senior housing developer. If you're looking at the Elmhurst facility, I don't think you could possibly squeeze in any kind of facility for seniors. And the agreement requires them to maintain station facilities that are equal to or better to what is existing. So they could build a building, but they'd have to put in something that has the amount of square footage, a ticket agent window, restrooms, access to the platforms. So now, and then everything that the city would require with setbacks and all that. So in reality, you know, I don't think most of these properties are developable. But as you said, as a negotiating tactic, could they be looking to swap properties? I wouldn't doubt it. You know, they have that ability, or they have that right to do that. But again, we gotta let it play out.
Very
Thank you,
good.
Demetrius. If you hear anything, keep us informed, so.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, there's certainly no room to develop at the Glen Ellen Station site either, so we'll see.
Right.
Anything else for Demetrius? Thank you so much, Demetrius. Really appreciate the information.
Anytime.
And
Thank you.
next, RTA. Do we have RTA here today?
I've heard from Sarah. Okay,
Do we have Sarah available?
nope, not on. Thank you.
No, I guess we don't. Okay. Okay, is there anything else? Any old business? Any new business? Okay, hearing none, I'll move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.